Mowgli starting there in the playoffs. First time around for him. Be very nice.
Let's talk about another story. The pick and ban in Game 3. MVP back on blue side. Rumble, Talia, Kalista, the bans in Game 1. The Rumble will be recycled again, predictably, given that it is a two-person focused ban. Even with Mowgli in the team, I guess it's more Marin focused when Mowgli's there, given that Spirit was the one who was flexing the Rumble.
Yeah.
The Kalista may be left open, though. That's the one they can play around with, given that Kramer couldn't pop off on it in Game 2. So I'm interested to see how the Kalista is affected. And then for Afreeca, what about the Cho'Gath that they may want to ban but have less flexibility on the red side?
So far, Rumble Talia, very much what we saw in Game 1. Zach, Caitlyn going to be the standard for red. It was Kalista in Game 1 from MVP, but do they feel threatened enough to ban it again? Yes, they do. Even though Kramer did not have a good time in Game number 2, they still will just go forward with all of the original bans.
Span away the Elise. It was a Maokai first pick in Game 1 that didn't really provide all that much to MVP, so I much prefer the Xayah first pick that we're seeing. Would have been taken by Kramer if available. So it's a big prize for them. And we know that Afreeca play the Maokai, but we haven't seen it from Marin yet. Mowgli played it in the jungle last time out for the side of the Afreeca Freecs. They've been curiously banning it a lot, which makes me wonder. Perhaps they're trying to hide their specific Maokai strategies for later. This could be the re-debut of the most famous pick for Marin, even more so than his Rumble that perhaps he's the best at. The Maokai was the one where he had the immense winning record. I believe it was 37-1 at one point. Definitely was 27-1. They're going to take the Tristana into the Xayah as well, so expect a lot more attention from Mowgli to the bot side to help the Tristana through the early levels.
I mean, this means we could see something like the Rakan coming through for Max, or perhaps the playmaking ability of the Thresh like we saw just in Game number 2, where he was, absolutely commanding team fights by himself in the bottom lane.
Khan also always a possibility when we're talking about things with a Xayah.
Oh, they might just...
Cho'Gath would have been banned in the second rounds. If they want it, they have to take it now. They do gleefully accept the Cho'Gath, and they can play around with the Gragas and Chora, even though we're almost 100% sure it will be a top lane Cho'Gath.
Very likely. So Afreeca, what do they want to round out with? Do we see a top laner from them before the next round of bans comes out? Seems like they still just want to go back over to this Kalista Alistar, which just keeps growing in popularity throughout this series. So this is going to be 3 games in a row that we have this combo.
Interesting. Alistar.
Almost. Rather, never mind. Sorry. Kalista, not Tristana, not Kalista.
Had a lot of Tristana Alistar today.
I'm losing my mind.
That's okay. It's an MVP versus Afreeca series that went to Game 3. It's par for the course that your mind...
You're my anchor right now, Papa Smith.
I'm trying. I'm doing my best. Speaking of anchors, will we see a team fight anchor? Because Orianna is incentivized for both these teams with very strong engage. So which one of them visits the Ori well will be interesting. I know that MVP would love it if it was left open.
I thought you were going to ask if we were going to see a Nautilus, and I was like, what?
Beware the depths.
They said anchor, so I thought, okay.
Same as a quarterback.
Yeah,
what I'm trying to go for here.
I get it. I see what you're saying, but I was worried for a second. I was like, please, no, not Nautilus meta again.
No Nautilus in the near future. I think there's been some buffs for him on the PBE, so maybe later on. No mid lane focus in the bans just yet. I guess Galio is a mid lane ban, but we saw some Linderong top lane Galio yesterday, so you can never be 100% sure. Speaking of which, Afreeca do have the flex pick Maokai to explore. You mentioned the Thresh, and the Thresh will be banned, and that's the price. Felt like they were going to get one of Cho'Gath or Thresh, and they settled on the Cho.
Brahm's still available, however. So could maybe see that one come through for Max in the bottom lane if he doesn't want to go for something a little bit cheekier. But for now, final ban's going to be the Kennen.
Interesting. I mean, top lane Kennen is the ban because they already have the Alistar locked in. Play the Ruin King Kennen would obviously do a lot of damage to Cho, and has been a favorite pick of mine, but he hasn't found really any success on it, so not really a huge fan of the ban.
I think the first time that he brought it out was really good, and then it just kind of dropped off a cliff from there.
There's that confirmation Achilles will be Marin for the first time this season on his famous Maokai.
All right, so, Rek'Sai locked in here for Mowgli. So Maokai back over for Marin. And it's just weird that it's taken this long for us to see him pick this up.
Marin in his career, in Korea, well, losses in China, but in Korea, 37-5. Most of those losses, I believe, 4 of the losses coming in spring season on Afreeca. And SKT only ever lost once on the Maokai, and that included in international events. I spoke about the Orianna, predictably will go the way of MVP, but Talia this time is still banned, so I'm wondering what we'll see from Kuro.
Oh, okay. So a bit of a transition back. It's going to be the Tom Kench here for Max to try to keep the Xayah alive.
Does answer Maokai's single target initiation very cleanly. Rek'Sai is also single target now. The two of those will be frustrated by the Tom Kench. Talia gone. Corki hasn't really shined that much for Kuro this series. Would make sense into the Ori. It's going to go standard with no real other picks being left open.
Okay, well this is actually 3 games in a row. Just Corki, Orianna in the mid lane, back and forth. Will get locked in yet again for Kuro. So second time. And he's going to be bringing this one out. Didn't work out so well in game number 2, but we'll see it again in game 3 and see how it fares.
Let it be known the Orianna has won every game so far. So this time it will not be red side Orianna, but a blue side Orianna. They decide to go for the Rek'Sai first and then get a pick into what was always going to be an Orianna. It seemed like such a clean Orianna draft from both sides. Feel like MVP will open up their hands with glee on one with Orianna recently. The Comfort Cho'Gath as well. If you want storylines, if you want high drama, MVP winning does deliver that, because then we get Jinair versus Afreeca with the spot in playoffs very much on the line.
Tense situation here, Afreeca. They don't want to have to rely on that final series. They're just 1 game away from being locked into that 5th place spot. You see Kuro there, clapping on your screen, trying to get his team motivated, jazzed up to get him into this game. They have Mowgli starting off in the jungle. We'll see how this is going to change. Like you said, has had time to sit backstage, watch the pathing and the habits of Beyond in this series. So will Beyond adapt? Will he change it up and try to be unpredictable going up against Mowgli?
I mean, you'd imagine so, given that burden of knowledge. We're never 100% clear. I feel like empowering the Tristana is the way Afreeca win. Otherwise, their single target initiation is very well answered by Max.
All right, well, here we go. Let's see what happens. Can MVP continue the win streak and gate Afreeca away from the playoffs for a little bit longer? Let's find out as we jump onto the rift for game number 3. I kind of give the edge over to MVP, I think.
Thought the
in the
finals,
tier battle.
we knew the finals field would start this week. We
Oh,
could kill yours because we have the Longzhu series that do define the top 3, but I didn't know that this would be a match that would join it. But the MVP fans are so buoyed by their recent success. They came back with good feels from Rift Rivals after putting in a heroic showing, even if they lost. Now they're starting to win. Now they're smelling blood in the water. And MVP are in a great spot draft-wise to answer the Afreeca Freecs, and like you say, force us to a titanic best of 3 on Saturday. And to give us cowbells.
Yep, Tucson just giving it a little smack every now and then.
He's not as good as Wolf at canceling his animation. Something to work on.
Yeah. That's the most important mechanic when it comes down to Alistar.
One of the mechanics not talked about often is that Cho'Gath answers Alistar really well in team fights because he just silences him and eats him. The true damage deals with the unbreakable will very well, and Alistar not being around to be annoying is never a bad thing.
ADD gonna get the jump onto Marin.
He missed his auto. He's missed his auto attack reset there, ADD. Could have done more damage.
Still gets quite a bit down. Set magic, of course, gonna be a thing, but he's just gonna try to cut Marin off from the wave. So you have to come through me. This is great. I love it.
This is fantastic. You can even go back and with 1 E, just clear the entire minion wave. Marin gets all of them as well. Oh, he missed one. My apologies. So he's denied a minion.
Oh,
and also,
buddy, winning the fight.
How do you like this laning phase, Marin?
Sometimes it's just how it is, young.
ADD had the lowest KDA in the league before 714 rolled around, and it's been a revelation on the tank patch. Marin's KDA, nothing to write home about either. Yeah, struggled pretty surprisingly. First game on the Maokai since spring season.
Well, already, maybe Mowgli on the roam for a bit of a relief here. It's up towards the top side, throws out a ward.
Well, he definitely has a ganking path.
He's going to come in, straight in from behind. ADD, going to get jumped on. Twisted Advance coming down, has the flash, but gets popped up. Can he make it out of here? Flashes to the side, but gets caught by the Q, and he will fall first blood going over to Mowgli.
Really nice pathing from him. Got a very fast level 3 compared to specifically the side of Beyond. It was a lot slower. Skipped over his blue buff as well. Put down a ward, knew there wasn't going to be a follow. Came over smartly. Great stuff from the side of Afreeca Freecs, and it really helps out Marin, who was already struggling in the trades.
Oh, immensely. This alleviates so much pressure, and I mean, ADD, he doesn't have anything really to come back with, just a refillable potion for himself. Has to use the teleport. Marin does as well, but now has the Null Magic Mantle to help mitigate a bit of that damage. Beyond's coming in, though, and Marin does not have the flash. Body slam connecting, he's going to be slowed up by the red buff. Yeah, he's dead. It's just a matter of who gets the kill. Shield comes down, trying to stay alive. As he tries to retreat, but there we go. One final hit. We'll give that kill right over to ADD.
Well, it was a really Marin way to die.
Yep.
And give up an advantage in lane, and crucially, his lane opponent is the one who picks up the kill, so we'll have more gold than his opponent. Gotta say, his level 1 stylings did translate into the eventual kill. Marin overextending and dying is one of the oldest standbys of the LCK, so can't help but smirk, but Mowgli was brought in for pathing. His pathing did undo Beyond's. Consider that he was actually successful in the gambit of throwing down the much younger jungler in the face of Spirit's experience, but then his experienced teammate kind of throws the advantage he was granted.
Oh, thank you, Marin. All that work done. Dusum taking a nice little trade here as Maha lands that Blade Caller. Things will go ahead and slow down. A bit of a calm before an inevitable storm as the gold is completely tied up with the 1-1 scoreline.
So what was intended for the side of Afreeca? Snowball gank top lane, get a kill for Marin, allow that lane to be a farm lane, and play the rest of the game down bot lane with the Tristana. That's what Afreeca wanted. Suddenly what they want is kind of at a bit of a wit's end when it comes to having to deal with the fact that Marin will just be a little bit disadvantaged in lane. Mowgli finds Beyond, but he's actually a level behind.
Doesn't want to fight that one. Just gets a little bit of damage in. They lose out on the ward, but is that vision coming through from the scrying plant? Get popped up, so Mowgli does want to fight this one a little bit. Body slam comes in, however, and Beyond has quite a lot of damage to throw down as Ian joins in, but he's very low on mana.
We have the control of bot lane, and Marin's not there to provide coverage just yet. Let's go aggressively onto Mowgli.
Drunken Rage coming through, smacks him down, takes him very low, but the collapse is coming in, so Afreeca looking for the fight, but Tucson not in flash range for the Pulverize. We'll just go ahead and retreat back down to bottom lane.
It's always a game of cat and mouse. Maha didn't react, whereas Kramer did, and that means that Maha got a bit more experience and also got the preferential back time, so the cost of roaming there was not 0 for the side of Afreeca. Missed the cannon too, feels bad.
Gotta be careful though when the wave gets thinned out like that. Very well see Tucson just go in, flash Pulverize, headbutt underneath the turret. Level 6 achieved by ADD in the top lane, so the Feast stack is gonna start coming through for the Cho'Gath, just get him beefier and beefier.
That is what Cho'Gath does. He builds a Righteous Glory, a Gargo's Stone Plate, he gets incredibly beefy.
Go back to the classic Rod of Ages build.
You don't need to now, you get enough true damage with health.
Pulverize in on the max. Spends out the minion, but only gets a little bit of damage down onto Tucson as Kramer tries to trade up here. Leave one shot down onto the explosive charge, so not going to be a whole lot.
I talked a lot about ganking for Tristana lanes and things like that. You might ask why, because Tristana is seen pseudo-counter to the meta 80 carries, which at this point are Kalista and Xayah, who are very often taken in the first round. The thing you have to consider is that Tristana auto-pushes, so already wave control is going to be one factor, but the other thing is it's Tristana Alistar. And Alistar's laning phase is actually very, very poor. in terms of 2v2 laning. He can only all in kind of Leona in that regard, or Leona-esque. When he gets gank assistance, he can do a lot. He can definitely hard engage, but just standard 2v2s, he'll actually lose out even in poke to Max on the Tahm Kench, who can just poke around with the Q and in general be fine. So very much having gank assistance is so central to Tristana being able to play her playstyle of chipping down turrets, being the executioner on those turrets. And right now, with no help, the Tristana's just basically losing lane to a scaling AD carry in the Xayah.
Not a great spot to be in. Trying to push in, trying to get a little bit of those, a few of those Raptors taken away, but still going to be beyond picking up the majority of them. Meantime, rotates over, hands over the blue buff here to Kuro. Who had just enough left for one boss bomb.
It's beautiful, really.
Perfectly timed. All of it calculated. Now ADD, he's got a little bit of a lead. End of this, they'll only be ahead by 1 or 2. But it's pretty evenly matched against the Maokai. Don't think we're going to be seeing that many solo kills this time around.
Given that both sides are opting into the beef you spoke about, definitely agree on that. Very, very long laning phase played in bot lane before the first shot. First shot was Maha at around 8.5 minutes. Still waiting on Tristana's back. Could go Blade the Ruin King here, but I know I'm a much bigger fan of BF's sword into a Zeal item. BF's sword is the way, and it's not going to be a Blade the Ruin King Tristana this time out.
I mean, it'd be nice to Stain going up against the Xayah, but not able to trade out with her in little skirmishes.
So if you're not going to play around the duo lane, a lane swap is another option to take value out of Tristana with attack speed and also the BF sword. And it seems like Afreeca going to take that side. Cho'Gath has good wave clear, so it's not necessarily going to be the cleanest, but they want to get out of the 2v2 lane, and they're sending in a lot of reinforcements.
Oh yeah, they really want to just go ahead and guarantee this one. Headbutt in, as Marin does have the turret at the moment. ADD kiting his way back. Big body slam, however, off the back of the flash there from Beyond. He gets popped up, but the turret will find Tucson. Final shot, taking him out now. Marin having to get out of here. Turn back in, get a bit of damage down onto ADD as he kites back, but Ian comes over. Shockwave landing on the two members. Body slam yet again as Kramer throws out the buster shot. Will not get clipped by the ball at the end. And miraculously, it's only Tucson going down after all of that, but MVP still open up and get the first brick on the bottom side of the map.
It's the second time Afreeca have overforced something. They're so greedy with these engages.
Man.
They don't wait, they just try to brute force it. Send in 4 instantly, but everything up for ADD. It's not trivial to turret dive a Cho'Gath, just like people have found recently with turret diving Maokai's. And Afreeca trade down in pretty epic fashion, kills and also objectives to the side of MVP.
I mean, so many flashes having to be used from both teams, but the massive investment, it's still very much MVP who come out on top in this regard. And we'll just go ahead and see the replay.
And they didn't even allow the remaining creeps to deal with this. They just go for a super hard engage. But it's so low value, it's very strange to see Afreeca over purchasing in this regard. A really nice cast there to ensure the extra turret shot actually takes down the Gragas. It's just not clean at all, and this is with everyone sent in, and only 3 members at the end from the side of MVP.
I mean, it was just so crazy. I mean, 3-man body slam into the 3-man cask, into the 2-man shockwave, just one after the other connecting in. And somehow Tucson's the only one that dies, but MVP very much get the lead off that. Mountain Drake still has not been targeted yet, but we're only just 11.5 minutes in, so could see this started up rather soon. Hopefully at the moment. Vision coming down, Tongue Lash does connect. He doesn't have Flash, but he's got Tunnel already preset. So gets himself over the wall towards the blue buffs. Keeps himself alive for the moment.
You lose a 2v4 that eventually evolved into a 3v5, though. Things around the map start to work against you. Turret going down in bot lane was the easiest example, but any hope of control around the Mountain Drake is now completely gone for the side of Afreeca. Freecs will be a freebie to the side of MVP.
Take that one away, and yet again we're going to be treated to an Infernal Drake spawning.
I'm just in love with ADD's Shyvana-esque plays on the Cho'Gath.
Just take away the big creep and go back to lane when the wave crashes. He's got to be careful though, because he doesn't have Flash, and it's going to be Mowgli coming through. Rupture already used, Silence coming down. Nature's Grasp will lock him in, and it seems like he's not long for this world. Trying to deny a little bit of vision, gets the double pop-up, but there you go. Void Rush into a final smack. We'll go ahead and take him out. In the meantime, Maha and Max, knowing that the jungler is not nearby, are trying to gain some pressure onto that inner turret in the bottom side of the map.
4 members are rotating up. They know that no one's here to help Kramer.
Cluster shot comes through as Max takes up the turret, has the shield available for himself. They'll knock this turret down to about half HP, but now Tucson is arriving. Beyond over the wall is spotted out by the control ward. Devour coming through. And they're really just trying to buy time for that turret to go down on the top side of the map. Seems like they've done a good enough job.
Strange to see Alistair walking up there, and also Corki, given that they should have been able to take him down without any other help, but they don't lose the turret in bot lane. They do get the turret in top lane, so there was a good news story there for Afreeca, who are admittedly only 500 gold behind, even if you're still cringing a little bit as an Afreeca fan at their attempt at a turret dive a few moments ago.
Honestly, just feels bad that Ian was unable to get a single assist after landing that nice shockwave. Nobody dying off the backside of that.
Sounded like you called it a shockwave.
Shockwave?
Yeah.
We need that skin.
Well, I think Fizz kind of has the trademark on the sharks.
Sure, you know, you just pull party Oriana and a bunch of sharks come out. I don't know. Make it work.
Giving those free skin ideas to Riot Games, huh, Achilles?
It's not a very good one, admittedly.
Max trying to get his roam on now.
I was going to say, still waiting for the Korean exclusive Cass Cassiopeia. Cass is a brand of alcohol beer here in Korea.
Right,
so have that nice product placement.
Riot has shown a lot of pause with the product placement. I know when I started following League of Legends, I was kind of waiting for Hamburglar skins and things like that, but they've never happened. There's something cool about getting a... Well, I'll hold that thought.
Ian getting jumped on. Nothing cool about this one for him. Double shockwave does connect as he tries to outrun the kitties, but he can't do so. Will get popped up, will get taken down as the Void Rush almost claims his life. Baron is able to get it in the end. And Beyond arrives just a little bit too late.
Okay, so the vision game of MVP starting to fall up a little bit. Ian just caught with his pants down in top lane for no reason. There's very little to gain in that scenario, and just taken down by the targeted CC available to the side. Or Freecs, the looming cats are always one of the most terrifying ways to die. And now the gold lead's gone, Achilles, so they've spared their own blushes.
That's going to be the Abyssal Voyage coming through as they look for Kramer. Immediate exhaust thrown down with a Feather Storm. Massive root, massive damage. And the Tristana will just die. Tucson going on a merry old stroll. Just wasn't there to pick up the pieces.
Imagine the rocket jump was used off screen, so we didn't see it during the passage of play. Single target disengage. We talked about how single target a lot of Afreeca is, but the ultimate there not going to be enough to get the Tristana out, and no need to use the heal, would not have survived. That'll Drake the next spawn, but MVP trying to play around the Rift Herald that Afreeca started earlier.
I've already weakened the mid lane turret a little bit there, so they could very well open up the map even further with this if they finish it off. A couple members of Afreeca pushing into the vicinity, but whether or not they can do anything to stop this is going to be the question. Mowgli is nearby, but will not be able to go in for the smite buff. Needs to get picked up. ADD's going to go ahead and snag that one.
Chana's not here, so don't really know what Afreeca's setting up for. Some free damage from Kuro's nice, though.
He's just going to go ahead and fire away with a couple shots with the rockets. Tucson was looking for the nice wrap around for the pulverize, but nobody else was really in the vicinity with him, so couldn't really go in for the engage.
A package thrown down, special delivery thrown down for a bit of turret damage coming through from Kramer, but at his current damage threshold, nothing to be scared of.
Couple waves going to have to be answered here on either side. Bottom lane pushing up towards that tier 2. You can see Kramer roaming down the river to pick that up, and top lane as well as being brought in by Marin. In the meantime, Maha just going to be trying to hold down the fort in mid, but Tucson's wrapping around, gets the headbutt to knock him back away from the turret, but Maha's got his own flash. Feather Storm almost available as well, and doing a very good job of just stepping around these big rockets from Kuro.
Traded flashes with the enemy, Alistair, but otherwise nothing to be spoken of there.
And Ignite.
Yeah, that's true. Double summon is used by Tucson and his ultimate, so.
That was really, it was pretty poor by Tucson.
Alistair was probably the best performing of his champions, so. Is a different beast, not running the Alistair with Kalista. But Tristana, it's a very different thing, and the laning phase didn't go as planned. Marin is free farming. And Marin will be able to force the positioning of Orianna, you'd imagine, in the late game. They can force a Tahm Kench Devour, and then Orianna or Xayah walks up. Then Marin can return to SKT Marin, bossing around team fights on Maokai. Gold-wise, actually up 600 gold on the side of ADD. So crazy play. The Cho'Gath versus Maokai matched up quite a lot just after the release of 7.14. He was winning lane by 20 to 30 CS in those particular games. So Marin's mastery of Maokai seems to know no bounds.
Hasn't quite been as dominant here from him, but still at a lead is going to be rather nice, as they both have the Spirit Visage completed and MVP. As the team will go ahead and start up the Infernal Drake, second Dragon for them.
No real wards around here, even though they want to use Maokai's teleport. Against Smite and Feast, perhaps not worth it.
Yep, and that is going to be another Mountain Drake getting ready to spawn as Maha stops Kramer's back, gets a lot of damage down onto that Tristana.
Might mean the Rift Herald, although Cho'Gath's in base. The Rift Herald, which could have just been placed as the Tristana was DPS out, is not going to come until much later.
Haven't gotten the timer on it either, but have only a little bit longer to get that spawn going. See how he wants to use it. Starting to move up towards the top side, so maybe he's going to spawn it and just try to ride the wave forward up towards the turret.
Like what Afreeca did. Marin predictably left lane with a pushing lane they have to react to, so that will force the positioning of MVP, at least for a moment. Static Shiv finished on Kramer. Orky delayed his build path, but will soon have Trinity Force. When it comes to wave control, a lot of good options for Afreeca right now.
Waiting to see what they do with the Rift Herald, because he's just kind of aimlessly walking around the jungle at the moment.
He doesn't want to go top lane because the plan is to break the mid lane turret with the Rift Herald, and may have been necessitated. Like you say, we didn't have the timer.
They also wanted to surrender that massive wave over to the side of Maha to fast track the build.
I want to delay an inevitable turret here. We do see free damage from Kramer in bot lane.
Pop-up already comes down onto two, City Pops the Unbreakable will keep himself alive as the charge comes in. It's not enough to finish it off, but it will get it dangerously low, and with Ian nearby, we'll go ahead and finish that. Explosive cast comes through from beyond, from above, just kind of knocking them to the side, but not setting up for any kills to follow up here for MVP.
They get Kura's Flash, which is not necessarily a problem for that. It's a really good pickup for just an ultimate being thrown by Beyond, and they move over to Baron already.
Wait this one out. No, never mind. They will just go ahead and start this one up. They say, you know, ADD, do you have the feast? He says yes. They say, okay, screw it. Let's go for it. Mowgli winning over the wall. Control ward will be killed. They
Timing is
don't have
key.
vision right now. He's going to go in, but the feast has already come through. Interstrass comes in, does get the root down in onto Maha. Even with the Feather Storm, can't quite juke that one out. Now the Devour in onto Mowgli, spits him out, makes it over the wall with the tunnel, and it seems like that might just be both teams going their separate ways, but MVP yet again with this Cho'Gath come up with a Baron.
But the thing is, Achilles, maybe they've finally found their spirit animal, because this team that loves to fight tooth and nail in vision with Baron, when you've got Feast this early in the game doing 1100 true damage, doesn't matter if the enemy jungler is there. If you are on form, if you can control some of the variables that, okay, are not trivial to control, like damage coming in from over the pit from the enemy team, if you trust in your smite, it is going to be on point. So in the face of Afreeca Freecs, they try to keep them away from deciding their spot in playoffs today, and the Feast does all the work, and it's pretty easy for MVP.
It's just so crazy to see how, well, A, this pick for the Cho'Gath, and then B, just 7.14 in general has changed MVP. They look so good in their last couple games, and taking down Afreeca, yet again, would set them up pretty much for next year. They do have the potential of the Worlds qualifier, given their performance in spring.
They can still go to Worlds. You know, that's the thing, is that when they're not in relegations, their points do come through, and like you say, they will be going through the Worlds qualifier.
The headbutt pulverize finds 3 members here as Tucson keeps charging in. Pops the ultimate, trying to stay alive, has to flash over the wall. And now ADD arrives, gets popped back into the turret by the package, with Marin cutting him off from the other side. So a bit at a loss right now for the Cho'Gath as far as where to go, but he is still alive, and now it's just Marin trying to knock him down. We're now pushing forward, looking forward, but on the other side of the fight, back into the lane, it's going to be Mowgli falling.
Still alive.
And he's still alive. Max is there, has the Devour. Devouring a Cho'Gath, how bizarre, as Maha comes up with a double kill, now looking for a triple, looking for Kramer. One more hit would do it, but he gets jumped on Marn with the twisted advance, locking it down the Xayah. He might pay for that one with his own life. Has the flash to wall, but he's chased on by Max, who will have that Devour ready to go. They will take him down. ADD comes up with the kill, and MVP have complete control of the game, but they're not done yet. A pistol void, Shockwave thrown down, will claim Kramer's life, and Kuro has nowhere to go. He'll get taken down as Max finds an 8-3 MVP looking to break the base.
A perfect ace for MVP. No one dies. They decide to put everything into ADD, cut away from the rest of the members. Just take down the Cho'Gath. Can't do that. The Devour on the massive dinosaur is successful. They're going to break the base with this Baron buff they took in the face of Afreeca. This is insane to see from the side of MVP, and they're one good team fight away from just winning the series.
I mean, this was the MVP that we're missing throughout the entirety of the summer split. They have finally come back in. I mean, Tucson, he sees an engage, but there's just no follow-up available.
I mean, the teleport was available for the Cho'Gath, who sure invites damage for a while. But the critical decision to me is that, remember, they're fighting when Kramer's in a power drop. I don't believe he has Infinity Edge when we start this. He was still far away from it before. And then Kramer decides to fight with his Maokai, target down the very tanky Cho'Gath, and then the rest of the team is in no man's land. There's nothing they can do to stop the Ramboing members of MVP just chasing down closest target after closest target. They still have Shockwave up after all of this madness.
And the Abyssal Voyage to finish this off.
4 consecutive 2-1 victories from a team that was looking as relegation bound as could be not a month ago.
Yeah, they have clawed back their score, still in a massive hole. Mind you, -15 coming into this series, but looking to take another point off of that, but they're so far away from the -20 that was staring them in the face just a couple weeks ago. 7-14 has been absolutely perfect for MVP, as we can see, and they'll go ahead, knock down that final, or almost final inner turret mid lane. Still barely alive, as we do see that nature scratch coming in, but the Super Creeps are also into the base, as we see the side view. Houston getting popped back by the explosive cast will fall as Maha finds the kill yet again here with this Xayah, which is becoming, you know, maybe higher priority, at least for these two teams, than the likes of the Caitlyn or the Kalista.
Can't really argue with you, Achilles, and Afreeca have no good options to make. They just have their Tristana clearing minions in the base, slowly wailing away on super minions. The moment they got the gank in top lane, things look good for Afreeca. They could finally play around bot, but Marin died. From there, Mowgli was pretty indecisive about what to make happen. The Tristana lane kept losing. They rotated at top lane to make a play, but the turret dive was botched. And from there, no more tempo for Afreeca. So far away from the game one that was so clean from them. Third Drake of the game is going to be the Mountain. ADD will happily secure the MVP. They're in full control.
I mean, and again, not only does this mean that Afreeca Freecs are not going to be locked into that 5th place spot for the wildcard match until they play against Janair, but this also means that there's a decent enough chance that BDD could surpass or tie Kuro for MVP of the summer split.
Just 3 matches ago, MVP had 5 game wins. Not matches, game wins, map wins. And at the same time, they had 22 losses. They were 5-22, a -17 game score. Sorry, 5-23, a -18 game score. In that time since then, they're shaping up to go 8-4. Which is such a big improvement to get from 5 game wins to 13 game wins. Pick up all these match wins as well. They're probably not going to get past 7th spot, but they've unsettled Rocks Tigers there. They're getting more and more points towards the Worlds Qualifier as well. If they had been in relegations, they would not have been able to compete in the Worlds Qualifier. And sure, they're a long shot for that. But when it comes to actually being an LCK team, they've already cemented that at this point.
12-27 coming into this game, looking to make it 13-27 if they could come up with a victory. Right now having a 9,000 gold lead over the Afreeca Freecs. Double Mountain plus Infernal. Another Infernal on the way if we even hit that point, because there's still those Super Creeps pushing up that bottom lane. Kuro has to use the package, just doesn't have any way to use it for Engage to use it aggressively. Just throws it across the lane. You can see timer there on the screen. Baron spawning right now, MVP. They're rotating over. They want to be prepped for this. And somebody is probably going to have to stay inside the base of Afreeca Freecs to try to delay this minion wave in the bottom side.
They seem to be abandoning that theory. I agree it's risky. They probably will lose at minimum one Nexus turret here, but they're walking up for a fight.
Baron has been leashed, but has not really been hard committed to yet.
Why would they? They can wait and buy time, wait for the minions to start hitting onto that next turret.
It seems like Kuro's going to have to be the one that goes. He's got the TP, but Tucson goes back with him, and that's a major portion of the crowd control here for the Afreeca Freecs. So MVP, they can just go ahead and start this as soon as they see the cow.
Very strange to see Alistair go back. Unnecessary completely, but I think they just given up on their hopes of picking up Baron. It's going to be a freebie, you'd have to think.
Trying to go ahead and gate Mowgli out of here. Will be able to do so as the feast comes through yet again. Beyond still over the wall. Makes it out safely. And he'll just get tickled by that explosive charge. Now Abyssal Voyage coming through yet again. Didn't quite see where they are. There we go. Above the red pit at the moment. And yeah, oh dear, Tucson. Goodbye. Turns out you can milk those.
Fail Flash, maybe the accent on top of what is looking like MVP's 4th consecutive match win. They had this form even a little bit earlier. If Riot gave them 7-14 just a couple of weeks earlier, who knows what might have been for MVP turning around their season in the face of stiff opposition. They would have taken down in 4 matches Samsung, Jin Air, and Afreeca Freecs.
Really strong stuff from MVP. I mean, frustrating. You'd have to think for the fans watching this, saying, like, why couldn't we have gotten this patch sooner? Why couldn't we have hit this stride faster? Maybe we would be in the playoffs yet again, but you still have to just feel good that your team is able to perform yet again, has gotten back to this this level in the current meta. So mid inhibitor being broken, MVP looking to retake the bot lane. As they still do have this Baron buff and super creeps that'll be getting ready to come down. Will just help them finish this that much faster. Weren't able to get the Nexus turret, but did get quite a bit of damage in onto it. Headbutt pulverized down in onto 880. Has the Nature's Grasp, but the Devourer is there from Max to go ahead keep him safe as they kite back.
Single target. CC not giving anything to the side of Afreeca Freecs. MVP will just back away. They got the objective they wanted. They'll back away and be able to shop one final time, you'd imagine, or being able to close the game. Don't really know what a team fight win by Afreeca Freecs looks like, as the item speed for Kramer in particular has been so well outstripped by Maha, who has Last Whisper and also the Zeo, compared to Kramer, who has, of course, had to go Lord Dominic's regard to even have a hope's chance in hell of being able to kill the Cho'Gath and Gragas in the front line.
It's just moments where, like these, where you're just like, I really wish I could play Vayne. Kramer gonna get jumped on. Already has used the flash. The heal's not gonna do a damn thing. So goodbye. Beyond just scooping up that kill. Nice little KS there from his teammate. And MVP are gonna be looking to drive the final nail into the coffin.
Not sure why Kramer was that far out with 2 inhibitors down.
I'm not sure why Afreeca has done a lot of things they've done in this game.
Fair point. That is a big Cho'Gath, by the way. He's not even level 16 yet.
He's got 11 stacks. He's got the Elixir of Iron tossed on. 3rd inhibitor now going down. 31 minutes about to be on the clock as MVP seeks to finish this one off. Maha going forward will get unburrowed on, but still is quite safe. And Mowgli is pinned into the wall, has to pop the Void Rush in desperation to get himself out. Makes it back over to the fountain, but the Nexus turret's now under siege as the first one falls. And Tucson just comically dies so quickly before he can even use the Unbreakable Will. Even then, likely would not have saved his life. The Nexus is exposed, and MVP will go ahead and do it. That is going to be 4 consecutive 2-1 victories, and Afreeca Freecs will not be locked into the playoffs yet.
The high drama of the final week of the LCK keeps giving. Tomorrow will be the telecom war to decide if Katie Rolster will go straight to Worlds. Bit of a monopoly situation. Asco go to Worlds, fail, and then suddenly have to fight against Longzhou on the last day. And now actually Saturday will have its own intrigue, Achilleos, as it will be Jin Air Green Wings versus Afreeca Freecs for the title of 5th spot and final spot in the playoffs. And it's even sweeter than that, because Jin Air need to win, but their manner of victory is going to be relevant as well. If they win 2-1, there will be a best-of-1 tiebreaker, about as important a best-of-1 as we have ever had in the regular season. Best-of-1 to decide who goes to the playoffs and who is frustrated watching on. If Afreeca win by any margin, they qualify, and if Jin Air win 2-0, they're through straight up.
Yeah. Both of these teams now having quite a lot to improve on if they want to advance at all past the wild card match through SK Telecom. Already an arduous task, but have shown immense weakness here. Afreeca Freecs and Jin both today. Jin, however, the ones that came up with the victory when it mattered the most.
Game 1 for Jin, poor. Game 2 a lot better. In this series, Game 1 for Afreeca, good. Game 2 and 3, they just made these unconscionable team-wide bad decisions where they would dive a turret and just seem to have really no idea or conception on who should be tanking it, when they should be going. They seem nervous, honestly, not even waiting for minions to crash before brute forcing. And were punished in just the same embarrassing fashion that Jin was last time out. They've beaten both these teams MVP. They're probably saying, hey, where's our spot? Where's our best of one tiebreaker to go through to the playoffs? Not gonna happen for MVP in summer season. And for Afreeca Freecs and Jin, both of them have one date to circle. That is Saturday, where they will play each other and finally settle the beef.
Yeah. Well, MVP, lots to feel good about here for the team, for the fans watching. Massive cheer from them as that Nexus did explode. They want to see this win streak continue. And now 4 straight with the 2-1 record. It's looking pretty damn good for them.
Their fans, long suffering. We can't even, there's no hyperbole here. They had an awful first 7-8 weeks of the season, a decent Rift Rivals. And then this rise of 4 match wins in a row. Finally, a good Cho'Gath series coming through from ADD after we've been so underwhelmed by previous Cho'Gaths.
I mean, his big one before was going to be the Scion. That was always the pick that he'd bring out, would find victory. People scared of it would ban it against him, and now maybe Cho'Gath has to be that similar thing. They have to get rid of that Cho'Gath or take it for themselves because he seems so very comfortable on it. It might even be our double MVP, but no, actually, it's going to be Max, in fact.
Max doing his best evacuation work on the Tahm Kench. It's so great. It doesn't matter the model size. His mouth is large enough to devour anyone. Cho'Gath devoured a couple of times in this game in comical fashion, but I agree in that nobody has really wielded Cho'Gath well enough to draw a ban except for ADD. And now other teams will have to scrutinize it. They'll have to scrim it more. Because with Scion, it was clearly an ADD special. No one else even tried to play it. Now, well, his own team. It's a different point. But now we have the Cho'Gath that is working in other regions, has not worked in Korea. And people will look at this and wonder, because even if you talked about role, people would think jungle Cho'Gath over top lane Cho'Gath anyway. And now the what ifs are real, because AD has shown that's probably ban worthy, because AD's gone from being the worst top laner in our league to suddenly being a competitor.
Yep. But you do have to sing praises over to Max, constantly gatekeeping with the Devour. The Abyssal Voyage is very on point, always coming up with kills. Just delivering Kramer unto Ian with that shockwave. And they take him down.
So no.
This was the one where we had a kind of a crappy camera angle.
I saw the fail flash.
Yeah.
I didn't miss it, Doosan. Sorry, mate. That was the fastest Alistair death I've ever seen. Is the next one, by the way. Oh, yeah.
He just gets absolutely destroyed here.
I would say decimated. I would have said obliterated normally. Where's the decimation?
Oh, well. Somebody will clip it, probably.
That's true.
All right. Well, it's time to go ahead and hear from our MVPs, ADD and Max. So we're going to throw it over to Joel one last time for today. Joel, take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your last interview translation of today. We're here with MVP, getting a 2-1 victory this time around against Afreeca Freecs, and we're here with today's MVPs, ADD and Max, for the interview. I'm sure there was a lot of important in this today's win. Yeah, I was in the maker room and our head coach came right to this and told us to really win out today's game. So I think for a lot of people today, today's win was very important.
맥스 선수는 어떠십니까?
Max, how do you feel about the win today? I don't know. I just felt good throughout the series, and even if we lost the game one, I didn't feel very bad. I felt like we were still gonna win out the series. So I think we were having a lot of confidence coming into today's series.
쉽지 않은데 그래서 오늘 이제 승리로 승강전도 피하게 됐고 이제 롤드컵 국대 선발전도 확정.
And with today's win was very significant in the fact that you guys really avoided relegation, also clinched yourself in a very good spot going to the world qualifiers as well.
사실 정말 힘들었잖아요.
I'm sure it was very much a struggle for you guys in the recent month that you guys have been struggling on.
이렇게 막판에 쭉쭉 막
And how does it feel really just extending that good momentum near the end of the season now? I think literally going through the pit bottom of what we were able to be as a team, I think really just coming back strong was such a meaningful thing for us.
그러게요. 그래서 마지막에 이렇게 연승을 몰아치면서 정말 많은 것을 얻어갔습니다. 그런데 또 이 에드 선수는 새 친구를 찾은 것 같아요.
And then at ADD, I think you really did find a new friend of yours in this champion pool.
이게 새 친구라기보단 제가 예전에 친구였는데 이게
It's not typically a new friend, but it's a friend that I used to have for a while back, but didn't meet back and forth. But Cho'Gath is one of those guys that just like it wasn't a fitting champion in the previous meta, so being able to play him now is such a wonderful thing now. And it just seems like Cho'Gath is still a very low percentage win rate in the LCK, but you have 3 wins out of the 3 games that you played.
저만 쓰는데 제가 좀 그런 챔프처럼 좀 뭐랄까 소위 말하는 고인 챔프들은
Yeah, I have a niche for some of these rare champions that not a lot of people like to play, but I like to take advantage of those champions. So that's kind of where I get my advantages over the other players.
준비돼 있습니다. 함께 보면서.
We have a video highlight that we want to look at,
이것도 빼놓을 수가 없습니다.
and this was where he got the steal. You should have been pretty surprised thinking that the Baron was right there as soon as you jump forward. Yeah, I think it was a very fortunate situation that I was right there at the position to eat it right away. Max, were you feeling pretty positive about that whole situation? Yeah, I think we're really good at getting our Barons stolen, but we're also good at stealing the Barons too. So that's kind of one thing we always had in our minds.
There's the 50-50.
바론 얘기가 나온 김에 또 MVP의 그 드래곤 사랑에 대해서 항상 많은 분들이 재밌어 하시잖아요. 저희도
And a lot of people really criticize you guys on the over-affection that you guys have for Drakes as well, along with Barons. But yeah, I think every time we pass around the Dragon Pit, we feel that the Drake is staring at us. So we always have to keep in mind that they're always there. It was definitely certain situations where we had to go for a team fight, but we were heavily gearing towards the Baron. So whether it was a good call or not, I'm not sure still. And going on to game 3, you went with Tahm Kench. What was that meaning behind that pick? Yeah, I think my staple picks were definitely the Rakan and the Alistar, and those were my staple picks in the current meta. But I felt like the ban pick really demanded something that could really support the Cho'Gath pick, and it was definitely a second-tier pick for me with the Tahm Kench, but it was definitely a composition fitting pick, if you will. And what is a trade between the Xayah and the Tristana? I think it's a very player-specific thing where Xayah is very much a confidence pick for him, but if it does die out in a couple occasions, it really can do very little for the team fights and also in the late game as well. And what are the scariest parts of this current meta with a lot of top laners getting caught out? Yeah, I think Vayne would be a very scary opposition to face against. But I think if Kalista, going up against Kalista, if you're getting, obviously hit 1v1, that would be a scary opposition, but you can always have a backup to go with that.
아 그리고 3세트에서 좀 되게 재밌었던 게 그 비욘드 선수가 애들을 믿고 막 밖에 오히려
What we thought was entertaining was that one occasion Beyond was in one of those plays, but he had full trust in you, ADD.
강타데미가 더 약하거든요. 초가스보다. 그래서 그라가스가
Yeah, but you know the situation where Cho'Gath's ultimate is a lot stronger than the actual smite damage, so he had to rely on me and saying that I was supposed to be the clincher for the Baron takes.
굉장히 좋은 챔피언인 것 같아요. 예, 3세트에서도 또 주요 장면들이 준비되어 있다고 하니까
We also have a video highlight from Game 3 as well.
네. 아, 몸싸움이 워낙 많았어요.
이때 약간 움찔움찔하지 않았어요. 상대가 막
Weren't you pretty scared at how even this could have been?
선수가 그냥 왼쪽으로 걸어 나왔으면 좀 더 좋은 그림인데 움찔움찔하더라고요.
Yeah, I think if Maha was not standing by himself, it would have been a little bit better. But regardless, we made our way around, so it was a good result in the end.
생각보다 아프지 않았다. 이때 아마 승리를 좀 직감하지 않으셨어요?
And I'm sure this might be in the situation that you guys clinched the win here.
때부터 승리 직감했어요.
바텀에서 이미
Yeah, I think as soon as we got that big fight in the bottom lane and we got that big team fight win, that was already a situation good enough that we can clinch our win.
색다른 칭찬가요.
너무 띄워주면 안 되겠어.
그러면 뭐 옆에 에드 선수가 있지만 맥스 선수가 볼 때 뭐 본인은 항상 잘했고 사실.
And Max, you always say that you always did well, but
저는
and how does ADD do right now?
엄청 잘하는데 연습 그러니까 대회장에 오면 살짝 전투를
Yeah, I think ADD is a very talented player, but once he comes to the stadium to go for these tournament plays, he just kind of gets let down and loses a bit of confidence. That might be his biggest problem.
여기보다 훨씬 더 잘해집니다.
But I think if you see him during practice, you'll be very surprised at how good he is.
선수가 뭐 옆에서 웃고 있는데 본인에 대한 얘기가 좀 나오는.
ADD, I mean, you heard comments from Max. How do you feel about that?
제가 저희 팀에서 종빈 형, 맥스 형 다음으로 잘한다는 생각은 아직은 없다고 봐요.
I don't think I'm definitely I'm not a player next to Max in the terms of skill. I'm sure there are other players who are better than me in the team.
참 유쾌한 팀인 것 같은데 자 오늘 이제 승리로 많은 것을 또 얻어갔고 하지만
And of course, you guys earned quite a bit through just this win in this series. But would you like to say anything to your fans cheering for you guys? Max, would you like to say it, or ADD?
저희가 요즘 따라 이제 2대1로 많이 패승승으로 이기는 경우가
And it just
많이
seems like we've been getting these 2-1 victories.
분위기도 많이 좋아졌고
And I think the entire team morale has been on the uprise, and we've been feeling very much better about ourselves and about the entire organization. So I hope you guys can feel the same way about us, and we'll just continue to do well for the rest of the season. And that's the end of the interview. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. Well, luckily, he doesn't have to uphold that promise for very long because the end of the season is nigh. Papa Smithy getting ready to close things out. But yet again, another win for MVP, 4 in a row at 2-1. And they stop Freecs in more way than one with this win.
The end of the regular season is nigh, but remember, MVP will be playing postseason.
This is true.
Not in the way they may have hoped. They probably hoped they would be in the gauntlet, making their way towards the Summer Championship. That won't be happening. But towards Worlds, that dream is no longer dead. MVP cannot be relegated. Freecs don't confirm their spot. And that means that the storylines, the drama, it does not stop this week. You cannot ask for a bigger week of League of Legends than the LCK is giving you last week here.
It's looking really damn good. And now Freecs going to be feeling a bit stressed out. Have to win that game against Jin Air Green Wings if they want that 5th place spot, if they want that wild card match.
Jin Air 2-1 is the extra drama. It means a best of one probably after the whole regular season is done. On Sunday, I would imagine. We don't have confirmation on that yet, but that's what happened last season. So games upon games, and oh boy, there's a series for you guys tomorrow. SK Telecom versus KT Rolster. And it doesn't stop there. There's more to it. KT could be the first team in the world to guarantee themselves a spot at the World Championships if they win this series in any fashion. They go to Worlds.
That they do. Following up is not going to be nearly as exciting of a match. Rocks Tigers versus BBQ Olivers, as Papa Smithy and Atlas will be bringing you here the games tomorrow.
If Rocks wins, they relegate BBQ, so it is still relevant.
That's true.
BBQ need to win both their matches and have game score on their side. But if Rocks win, BBQ are relegated.
Yeah, they are going into that promotion tournament. If they can't pick up a win, BBQ, they need that victory. And then their next opponent is not that great either, but we'll get to that in a moment because on Saturday, we'll be coming back, closing out the final week of the regular split here at OGN. Myself and Papa Smithy is going to be MVP going up against Ever 8, and then Afreeca Freecs versus Generic Green Wings to decide that final spot in the top 5.
Must win for both sides. 6th spot by far the most frustrating when it comes to missing out so close on that playoff gauntlet. Sunday's matches at the Gangnam Stadium are sick as well. They do bear their result and their level of hype based on what happens in the Telecom War. If SKT do not beat K2, if KT win, they are guaranteed first. Longzhu and Samsung are playing for 2nd and 3rd, which is relevant when it comes to skipping best of 5s. If SKT win, then it will be a best of 3 to close the season for 1st spot.
Yeah. SK Telecom T1 going up against BBQ Olivers again. Really hard matchup for BBQ to try to stay in here and not go into that promotion tournament. But yeah, Longzhu versus Samsung, one of the best ways that we could possibly hope to close out the regular split.
And the hype doesn't go away because remember, in Korea, we say it a lot, but of course it's different to other regions. It's a gauntlet. So in another region, you're just like, I just want to start hiding strategies. 2nd versus 3rd has how most semifinals
Can't afford
go.
to do it.
You can't afford to do it because you need to skip those best of 5s. The level of teams in the gauntlet is so high. 2nd place doesn't have to play one as many best of 5s, and that's so big.
Yeah. So want to just start at the top of the food chain rather than have to work your way up the ladder. All of these teams, Samsung, Longzhu, KT, going to be vying for that spot, but KT might be able to do it here tomorrow.
If you scripted this week, you couldn't script it this good. It's even better than scripts. It's reality here. It's come down to the bottom. 3 teams at the top, all at the same game score. 2 matches to decide the first spots. It's just sick. I live for these days. I think all the players do as well. Usually the gauntlet is where the hype starts. We started a week early.
Well, that's why we just let you do all the days, Papa Smithy. That's why you're the one 100% on all the broadcasts.
Well, I'll be back tomorrow. Telecom War needs no hype, but it's got extra hype this time.
Well,
oh boy.
I won't be on the cast. Atlas will be taking care of that, but I'll be here in the audience watching because it's a match that